Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Lott. I'm the president and CEO of a software company here that's headquartered in Calgary. We specifically work in asset information and visualization, as well as we're very active in the construction space, primarily in industrial or in civil or in very complex infrastructure projects. So, whether you're in energy, whether in mining or utility, that's really where our organization specializes. We're very proud to be headquartered here in Calgary. We have so many unique clients that we get to deal with every day. We get to work with some fabulous EPCs, some great contractors, and some great asset owners in the energy space as well. So we get to learn from our clients as we grow. Our company's only been around for about 5 years now in a software space that's actually not quite young, and you're almost middle-aged at that point. But we are privately held, and I was excited to share just a few months ago that we now have equity investors in our company that were both Suncor and Cenovus. And why that's important, both to this ecosystem that we're talking about here, is that we're starting to see our industry clients and partners put money back into the software space, into entrepreneurial companies locally that really help us to grow, to learn from. So a great signal to the market as we try to expand globally when we've got great partners. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. When the CanBeam team asked me to come up and be the keynote speaker, I was thrilled. All of you here in the audience are very much like-minded thinkers. You believe that technology is the way to drive our production and efforts forward. You're about generating new models. BIM is just, I believe at the forefront and tip of creating some great synergies and growth in the business market and with the assets that we're managing. So tied to that, this is Buckminster Fuller. Buckminster Fuller was born in 1895. He passed away in 1983, and I'd like to share this quote that he said: "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete." Okay? He was a big proponent of change, very, very talented individual. I can tell you that Buckminster was actually the second global president of Mensa, and he actually attended Harvard, of which he was expelled twice. Once for spending all of his money drinking and partying, the second time for publicly stating that he found it quite boring and not challenging to be a part of that institution. Okay? He later went on and he became a meat packer and a mechanic up in Canada, believe it or not. He has over 28 patents, he's written over 30 books, and he passed away in 1983. He's really well known for the geodesic dome, of which, he was an architect and became a very large proponent of that, of which you can see he's holding one there in that image. And so, if you read that quote about changing the models and how we do business and how we make things obsolete and drive change, which we're trying to do as BIM enthusiasts here, he passed away in 1983, and that quote absolutely would apply to something as simple as, I'm tired of going to drive down the road in the snow to go rent a movie from Blockbuster. I love movies. But we got to change the model. Netflix says, let's just bring it straight into your house. The technology's available, it's proven that people wanted it that way, and it wiped out what was once the great New York Stock Exchange companies. So these quotes still hold true, and I think that's just important as you look at how you're going to change things in your companies. Think of Buckminster. So one of the big problems that we see in the construction space and really how technology is being adopted, if you look at all the mega industries or verticals up there, whether it's manufacturing, automotive, or otherwise, the construction space has actually really failed to catch up and become really digitized and drive new productivity. So 25 years ago, one employee could generate $1,000 of productivity. 25 years later, that same $1,000. Look at the significant gains that you see there. So the construction industry and what we do before we hand buildings over to operations and maintenance has really fumbled and fallen down. We see huge cost and schedule overruns. If you look here, 90% of projects go over budget. If that project is north of $1 billion, it's actually 99% go over. 17% schedule slip, 30% cost slip. All of this happens because we're doing things the old way. We're looking at progress reports, we're working off old paper models. We really need to start to adopt technology, and BIM becomes a major player in that. So when we look at what a project's manager role here, they'll end up picking up design, schedule, and budget, and then out in the field where it's physically you're working on it, it generally creates new risks and elements. What happens in progress, what happens in quality? You know, all of a sudden you find out you've put pilings in the ground, you've counted them as progressed and installed only to find out it wasn't to the quality standard, they need to be dug up and your schedule starts to slip and slip. And what's worse than finding out about that, not the next day, but finding out 3 or 4 weeks or months down the road where you've got something that's not going to tie in properly. All of these errors amass to $1.6 trillion in loss globally every year in the construction space, enough to solve world hunger. We really need to start putting technology to play here, because physical reality does not match plan when you get out into the field. So how do we start to share the data that's being created and make sure everyone's collaborating at a different scale? So when we look at this, you know, it's really about why are we driving digitization and technology adoption? It's about improving productivity. It's really not about replacing people with technology. It's giving them the tools to do that much better, to be more effective, and to work together. So people need tech to accelerate. In Canada here, we really need to drive this as well. We are competing at a global scale, and we need to be at the forefront of that adoption. And it's not so much about people saying, I need the data, I want to see the data. They fundamentally need the data now to become very productive in their space. They want transparency. It helps to drive life safety, real benefits. I'll talk about some of those, what our technology does. They'd like current tools. And what they really want, you know, the word is sort of data-driven outcomes. They want data-driven business. What they really want is data-informed. We're not taking the human element or the creativity aspect away. It's about having data to make informed decision versus making it very subjective. And that's where the errors occur. So here's a quote that I like, and it comes about sharing data. The biggest problem with any document is getting it out of the office, into the field, and into that person's right hands. And we're still talking about a document here. You're picturing paper going from one to the other. What if we didn't need to do that anymore? What if everything was cloud hosted? We know the cloud's ready, it can do that. What if we could have our engineered stamp drawings available for everyone to look at the latest revision, to plan and work on it? We can do that. Why is it that anybody that just has a CAD workstation or a license are the ones that get to use and navigate that particular software? What if we could take that and elevate it and make it available to everybody? You start to get some significant gains through collaboration. I'm going to show you a video here. It should have the sound as well. This is a quick 1-minute video of what my company VEERUM does.
Your assets are globally distributed. You need to see what is currently happening in the field to make informed decisions. Imagine being able to virtually visit all your assets from a web browser. VEERUM's asset information and visualization platform enables this by aggregating all asset data into a secure, simple-to-use platform. It is equipped with powerful tools and analytics to drive decision-making and add value to all stakeholders across the entire asset lifecycle. 66% of asset owners will have an online visualization of their asset by 2020. Where are you on your digital transformation journey? VEERUM's asset information and visualization platform is the easiest initial step to digitally transforming how you build and operate your assets. Accelerate your digital transformation journey with VEERUM today. We can be up and running in 48 hours with your existing asset data. VEERUM delivers the future of asset ownership in today's connected world. You have to V it to believe it.
There's a quick 1-minute video of what we do. Really what we've created is a visualization platform for all of your existing data. So I'll give you an example of something we just did. So one of our clients is actually a mine site down in South Africa, a very large mining organization. And they had drone-based data, and they had laser scan data, and they had their existing CAD data, and they had a bunch of as-built. And they didn't know how they were progressing on a particular dam site and how to become effective because their project was falling behind. Now this is the power of the platform that we built. In under 48 hours, without them doing any single work, or we didn't need anyone on their side, collecting stuff, it's all the files that they had. They uploaded it to the VEERUM cloud, and we digitized a 12 square kilometer mine site in under 48 hours, and they were able to start working and progressing, okay? That's powerful. 30% of the data and valuable data that's created in the construction process is lost before you hand it over to operations and maintenance. That's a big chunk of data, and this is really about data preservation, so you can start to engineer off of what you had there. You know what went behind that wall in regards to piping and to wiring. You know where that HVAC particular unit was supposed to be, and maybe it's moved off by a bit. We have to preserve this data to make us effective in the future. So when you look at this sort of asset life cycle here, your asset being in the middle, where we participate is through greenfield construction from the ground up in planning and design, off-site fabrication, which is a major driver. What we're seeing is a lot of construction is now coming over in modules, or it's coming over in very significant builds already, and it's supposed to show up on site and fit together in the existing infrastructure with other components coming from around the world. I'll show you an example at the end, but we're actually able to digitize the site and these components before they leave manufacturing, virtually assemble them so that when they show up, there's no tie-in problems, you don't have quality issues, or you don't have to engineer in the field. It's all about reducing that particular risk, because that's the life safety component of all of this. When projects are under duress, when schedule is slipping, that's when people start to make mistakes and work harder, and they skip and cut corners in safety, right? The majority of deaths that happen in the workplace are in the construction industry, right? Those fatalities come, and it's usually when people are under stress in those particular projects. So we need to start to give them tool sets to reduce that. So as you guys evaluate 5D BIM, and I know there's 6, 7, and 8D BIM, and it keeps growing and growing, but when you look at that 5D BIM information modeling stack, you're gonna get a control tower view of what's actually, what you're intending to build, and then you're gonna get your as-built and what's happening in reality. So we need to get our thoughts past it's going to be one system or one application is gonna solve everything. These are not or statements, it's and. You will need this and that, and you will need this software and that. It's about collaborating and putting together the best ecosystem to drive the best results. So 75% of asset owners report leveraging BIM results, obviously saving in operations and maintenance. And you're probably also aware of this, that only 31% BIM adoption actually in Canada. Doesn't mean BIM implementation. We actually have a higher amount of BIM implementation, but the adoption piece and actually using it is the major driver for this. So Canada is a little bit behind, which is why I'm very excited about the CanBIM institution here and driving that message forward. So why are we not adopting this? So when you go back to your companies and you go back to your boss, or you go into your organizations, the first thing we look at is this a technological gate that we have to get through? I think we can all agree now that the technology exists, the technology's been proven, so it works. So that objection has been fundamentally deleted. Economical. Should we put the money into this? Is this a flash in the pan, or is this the future? Does this drive genuine ROI going forward? That's been proven out as well. So then why are we not at 100% BIM adoption? So it says technological, but what it should say is cultural. This is the mind shift and the mindset that needs to occur. The tech's proven out, the economics are proven out, so why aren't we doing it? It's up here. It's the status quo. It's people that are doing things the same, right? If speed is the new currency of business, this is going to kill businesses, right? The stats out there are that 40% of businesses will not be in business in the next 10 years if they don't actively work on adopting technology, regardless of what industry you're in, right? So we got to start pushing that agenda because that's very important for Canada. And the biggest gains that you're going to get here, where we get this productivity through construction and operations, will come from adopting technology. So you look at the top ones, it talks about collaboration. Well, you know, we do things differently. These are best practices, but guess what? It's going to come from technology as well. So all of those categories are going to come from tech. So we have to be very tech-centric in our approach and help people get by that. So integrating 3D modeling software, which is what we showed you that VEERUM has, with information management is really the future. So why is that important? Why is the 3D model really important? How do humans learn, okay? You're 60,000 times going to learn faster if I present you data in a 3D style model than if I gave it to you textually, okay? And you're going to retain it 400% better in a 3D model than just in a basic graphic or text. That's important because as leaders in your company, you all have data. You're trying to increase productivity. It's your responsibility to present the data to your workforce in a manner of which humans are wired to already learn. I'll give you an example here. You've got that, and you've got that, and they're both exactly the same thing. And we're not even into the 3D space. It becomes difficult to articulate what a square is, and if you put a triangle on top of it and then a rhombus behind it, but if you were to present it in a 3D model, you get it right away. You can move that much faster, you can make decisions, and you remember it. We're all visual learners. So, you know, the best BIM software, it ensures effortless collaboration. So we don't want friction, we don't want a lot of big, heavy systems, you know, we don't want big policies and creations. It's about introducing the easiest step into digitization, which is getting people to see the data differently, and they will start to drive the use cases and adoption. So whether it's 2 and 3D, you know, GIS and reality scans, your asset information, all of this stuff, it will all come together in digital twin platforms, and this is a really exciting time to be a part of it. Those deeply engaged users are enjoying it more and more, and if you really want to drive adoption rate of your BIM platforms and your policies, you have to get the executive within your organization. You've got to get your business leaders to start collaborating, to start communicating through those platforms, and everybody will come with it. So that's a big key piece to driving adoption. What we'll show here too is you're all aware of the various levels of BIM adoption and BIM maturity. With something as simple as using VEERUM, we can take your organization, and when I talk about under 48 hours, we can move you from level 0 almost up to level 3 and 4 in some capacities. Very quickly, collaborating, creating that access to data so that everybody can be successful. So, a couple slides left and a couple other points before I wrap up, right? We have to stray away that it's all about the 3D model. The 3D model is your tool for visualization. It's the data underneath that is absolutely critical, okay? When you hear about people hiring data scientists in all these roles, I can tell you right now that 80% of their time is spent trying to collect the data, make sure that it's accurate, make sure that it's complete, and make sure that we're collecting it, you know, over and over in that pattern. It's not about the data's there. It's fundamentally, you know, it's data wrangling now. So we have to be able to get clean-based data into our systems in order to make it effective. A quick use case I'll show you here. You'll be familiar, this is a laser scan that we did with a pump house of one of our clients. We overlaid CAD. This is one that needed to be upsized. It was at a tailings pond facility up near Fort McMurray, and the pumps and the spools were undersized for the amount of capacity that had to go in it. So what we did with this was we scanned the pumps that were manufactured in Mississippi. Some of the spools were all built and welded and manufactured in Nisku, and other points came from Ontario. We virtually assembled it in that facility without bringing anything on site. And what we found out is that using technology, that the pumps and the spools were actually off by 31 millimeters in tolerance. Doesn't seem like much, but these are chromium carbide manufactured, and you can't just crank bolts tighter, okay? That's what would have probably happened when the schedule was under duress, and it would have caused an accident, and it would have, stored energy and had a potential explosion. But because we were able to catch this, and it was a 7-day critical window for what they were trying to do for their outage window and turnaround, we were able to correct it at the point of manufacturing, bring it up there, and it all fit, right? All using technology. So this client said they saved between $2 and $3 million by using the software that we have in under 30 days. So, 2,000% ROI. And this was just one component, one turnaround. They're starting to use it in all of this. It's about grabbing that technology, and now when they do their next turnaround, they've got the CAD, they know the exacts, they know the as-builts, and so they start to make quicker, better-based decisions using technology. Final point here, which I'll leave you with. I don't think we need to fear that technology is going to fundamentally eliminate our jobs, or we won't need us to be a part of the creative process of construction. Jevons Paradox is that when technological progress increases the efficiency to which a resource is used, so reducing the amount necessary for any one use, but the rate of consumption of that resource rises because of increasing demand. What it means is the demand for projects, and where we all play in for BIM, will continually rise as we make it less expensive to deliver, and we effectively deliver it more and more, right? So we have a new arena that we're building, we have cancer centers, all these great things that are great for the community. We need to start doing things differently with technology, and I think all of you are the leaders to help drive that initiative, and you understand it. So thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciated being here.